Welcome back, everybody, to a very powerful and topical edition of Health Talks for Dr. Trinh. As we take a look at not just the health here in this country, but the health of people in crisis right now, halfway around the world. Dr. Trinh, I don't even know how to set this one up. Introduce your guest for today here.
Yeah, I want to introduce you guys to Ola. If it's loud, I'm at the airport and heading to Washington, D.C. But Ola is in Warsaw, Poland, and is actively helping out the refugees in Ukraine.
Wow.
And so I wanted to have her share what she sees on the ground and her experience and what's going on over there.
A rare chance to talk to a first-hand account of what is shocking and stunning all of us in the world. I'll just preface this by saying one thing here. First of all, thank you for what you're doing. And I welcome the opportunity here on OC Talk Radio to have somebody give us a first-hand account on the ground of the suffering, the devastation, what's happening over there. We only see little snippets of it here on the news. And I'll preface this by saying I'm a good Irish Catholic. I'm in church the other day, and before Mass starts, I start mumbling to my wife, "Did you see that they just bombed some children's hospital?" And immediately all around me, people who would normally never talk to me as we're sitting in the pew waiting for Mass to start, everybody starts talking about this. Yeah, I saw this. Can you believe that? That's horrible. It really is. It's in the same way. There are certain tragedies that happen, 9/11 and other sorts of things, where people are just sort of speechless, and everybody's sort of can't take their eyes off it. Sort of like watching a car crash on the side of the road. Everybody's horrified, and yet they can't take their eyes off it, and they don't know what to say. So let's start with a little background on who you are. Why the heck are you there? And then we'll talk about what you're doing and what you're seeing. Why are you in Poland, in Warsaw, working with orphans and refugees, Ukrainian orphans and refugees? Why?
Thank you for the intro, Dr. Trinh, although I think he's left us now.
I think he does. He's getting on a plane here, so I think it's just you and I here. Right?
Yeah. Thank you, Paul. So I'm a Polish citizen of Vietnamese origin. I live in London, but I still have a lot of family here in Warsaw, Poland, a lot of friends. And Thursday, the first movement, I guess, the invasion had started in Ukraine, and the news spread. And on Friday, I don't know. I just had an urge to help, and I didn't know how I was going to help. I didn't know what form it would take. I just knew I had to come back. So I started looking for flights. I wrote a couple of things on social media to try and see if anybody can help with any funds, any donations, donating medicine, the most necessary items. The amount of help that kind of snowballed was absolutely breathtaking, and everybody wanted to help. And by the time I got here on Sunday, we had a whole Vietnamese Polish team mobilized. We were donated 2 storage spaces, and before I knew it, I was running an enormous logistics and communication center to be able to help in some way or another. And it's not just us, right? Everyone in Poland is doing something. They're taking in refugees, they're helping in train stations, they're out there, and they just do whatever they can.
An estimated 2 million, as of this morning, what I saw, 2 million Ukrainians out of 40 million have fled the country. All right, so I got to break some of this down. Do you share both Polish and Vietnamese ancestry? Is one parent Polish and one parent Vietnamese, or why are you a citizen of Poland?
I'm a full Vietnamese person. My parents and grandparents are Vietnamese, but they've lived here since the late 60s. So, the Vietnam War.
And why would they come to Poland? I had no idea. There's a huge Vietnamese diaspora, as they say.
There is a massive Vietnamese community in Poland. That's the second biggest minority in Poland after Russians.
I had no idea. Oh my goodness! Wow.
Yeah, so I'm here because of that. So we grew up here. You know, my first language was Vietnamese, but soon after, my native language was Polish, and then I went to a British school, so it was English after that.
And why did so many Vietnamese come to Poland to escape the it's the last place in the world. I know they were brought to America by religious groups and whatnot. Who brought them to Poland? Why would they pick Poland?
In Vietnam call it the American War. We don't call it the Vietnam War.
Yes,
because to us, the Americans brought that war to us.
Clearly, okay. I'll accept that. All right.
But the people that left to America, to Australia, are usually from South Vietnam.
Yes.
I'm from North Vietnam, so from Hanoi. So it would have been that whole communist, post-communist bloc.
I see.
So, you know, people
because the
from
Russians
Vietnam
are supporting the North Vietnamese, all the communist bloc is supporting, and so I didn't know that the communist bloc took in their allies, just as we took in on our allies in the South in this civil war.
Yeah. So my parents came here, and they stayed.
Wow. Okay, you've already shown me a world I didn't know exists. We live here in Orange County. Dr. Trinh is one of those South Vietnamese refugees where his family left, although he has family in the North who stayed and who are, you know, part of the communist regime there that succeeded and still stands there. He has talked a great deal about that. We grew up only hearing one side of the story. It never occurred to me that there were people in the North who similarly left. We only hear about the boat people and the exodus of people who were allied with the United States who fled after the fall of their government, after their side of the conflict, and after the reunification of the country and the success of the North Vietnamese communist forces over the South Vietnamese forces. We only have ever heard about that side of the story. So there was a whole other exodus from the North. Why did they leave? Because of the conflict, to get away from the war, or just as an opportunity? Or
no, they had the opportunity to go study abroad. A lot of them to study or work abroad. That they were rewarded, I guess, for the war efforts.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, and just a lot of them decided to stay because, you know, probably personally they thought more opportunities.
And how were they accepted in Poland? Because one of the, and nothing against Polish, I'm going to go into that in a moment here because I'm part Polish, is that I wonder, we've seen it in Europe now as Syrian refugees who come into Germany and France and others, that these are countries, unlike the United States, that aren't made up of lots of ethnic groups. They go back generations, hundreds, thousands, 1,000 years with one tribe, one group of people. And all of these European nations struggle absorbing refugees from other countries. The British have struggled absorbing refugees in Britain. Is Britain still Britain if everybody looks different and speaks a different language? You know, the United States was founded on that idea. Everybody came from somewhere else. So we accept that mixture maybe a little easier. That's part of our whole DNA, people coming here from other parts of the world. But in Poland, were they accepting of that? Were you welcomed in Poland, or has it been a difficult transition? Or I don't know. I never heard of that.
I think it was very difficult. I can only obviously speak from my own personal experience. You know, growing up in Poland in the early 90s was an interesting time, and I remember the first time I saw a African person. And I ran home and I told my sister and I said, times are changing. It's going to be good now. It's going to be good because there's other people now from other places.
I just read about, there was apparently a large group of African students in Ukraine, maybe for the same reason, for the opportunities to study there, and they have felt trapped. And many of the reports said they're not being treated well by the Ukrainians or the Russians, that they're the last out, the last anybody's thinking about here. Have you witnessed any of that? We only think of Ukrainians as a unified people, just like Russians as a unified people, as Polish as one group. We don't think of ethnic minorities, particularly not just native ethnic minorities that have been there for hundreds of years, but people who've literally been transformed brought there from other parts of the world. Is I don't know if you see any of that or if you've noticed any of that, but
Yeah. So I'm not across the border in Ukraine, so I can't say anything from my own account, but I do know a lot of people who are going there to help
right.
the people of color, Black people and people of color and people that were struggling to get out. I know that the UN got involved. They were there. So I think that situation is getting resolved. I hope so.
It's almost
but
like
I do
people
know
from
a lot
another.
of groups.
It's almost like people from another place who get trapped somewhere. They didn't mean to get. They weren't there trying to live in the country necessarily. They're there studying. They're there taking advantage of some opportunities, and all of a sudden they're at the wrong place at the wrong time, and caught in a war between two different groups that they maybe don't understand, and nobody knows. It's a forgotten, strange thing. All right. Having said that, so you're a Vietnamese citizen, Vietnamese descent, but a citizen raised in Poland. Your parents left there, like a lot of other Vietnamese from the north, to study and opportunities and whatnot. And you go to London to study, and all of a sudden you got to come home. Why?
So I work in London. So I actually work for an American firm.
Okay.
But in London.
Right. And what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I work in augmented and virtual reality.
Okay. All right. This gets stranger and stranger. Okay. All right. So
yeah.
a Vietnamese, a Vietnamese Polish citizen living in London, working for an American company in augmented reality. This is starting to sound surreal. Okay, all right. So
yeah, but it shows you that when stuff happens, right, we're stripped of everything that we are, and in the end we're just humans. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter who you are, because at the end of the day there's suffering, and what we're trying to do is relieve some of that, and that is the end of it, right?
So how have the Poles reacted to in two specific ways? One, I suspect that the brunt of the refugees have fled across the border to Poland, of these 2 million people. No country is ready to take 1 million, 2 million refugees in. Where do you put them? How do you feed them? How do you house them? Sanitary conditions, whatnot. I mean, it's inconceivable to me. I unlike Dr. Trinh, I didn't go through a war. Unlike your parents, I didn't go through a war and then suddenly understand what it's like to just pick up and leave, particularly if you're under assault, and to just grab a suitcase and leave your house and leave your home and leave your friends and just get the heck out of there. And now you're standing in another country with nothing, a suitcase and no place to stay, no car, maybe no money. I can't even wrap my head around what that's like. So how have the Poles, I'm sure they have stepped up to the moment because they feel a certain solidarity with what's happening here. They broke away from the Russians many years ago and probably are very supportive of the Ukrainians trying to stand up to the Russians themselves. But how have they accepted this flood of refugees?
So I'll give you a statistic that we have here right now. Every 3 seconds, 2 Ukrainians arrive in Poland.
Oh.
The amount of help is unimaginable. I couldn't fathom it, because just like you, I read about war. I've seen it in history books. I grew up in Krakow, so I used to visit Auschwitz as part of our curriculum. We had to go and visit and understand what war meant. And I grew up with Vietnamese parents that talked about war since I was a kid.
Yeah.
They talked about, hiding in bunkers, hiding on the way from and to school, from planes that were bombarding their villages. So I understood that, I thought, until I arrived here. And I don't, a lot of people don't even arrive with suitcases. There was a little girl, she lost a shoe while running, and her mom, she put 4 socks on for her on one of her feet. I'm very sorry, but this stuff gets me.
Gets me, yeah.
And she was running with 4 socks on one of her feet, and it's -6 degrees outside and snowing. And by the time they managed to make it to the border, the socks had ripped.
Yeah.
And this little girl, I mean, I apologize, the car is going crazy.
That's okay.
But the amount of suffering here is it is unimaginable. People have left everything behind. Life as we know it no longer exists for them.
Yeah.
They come here and they have absolutely nothing. And a lot of kids that we have just visited now in the orphanage, some of them had been shoved into a bus by their parents who had to stay behind. So some of it was single dads that had to stay and fight.
Right.
Some of it was their moms who had to stay with their grandparents who were unable to leave. And these kids from one moment to the next suddenly have no parents, right? There was a couple of twins that are 2 days old. They were born 2 days ago, and their parents both died in a building that had been bombed.
Oh my God. So now I just talk about the logistics. So you've got millions of people, and is Poland accepting most of the refugees? I know Moldova has taken a lot because that's another country right on the border that most Americans couldn't even pick out on a map. But Moldova is a small country absorbing a lot of people. But I'm assuming most of these 2 million plus refugees are heading across to Poland. That's the easiest place to go.
Yeah.
And do they what? Go to a staging area? Is it like a tent city that the government or charities set up, and they immediately show up and they say, here, come on in, we'll give you a warm bed and a place and a blanket and something to do and some food? Is that how it works? I don't even know what happens when millions of people flood across the border.
So there's 9 border points between Ukraine and Poland. The border that they share is 535 kilometers.
Okay.
There's 9 access points. People get to those access points either via train that goes from cities in Ukraine, or with their own vehicles. A lot of vehicles that you take get stuck in traffic because there's just so many of them. So you just abandon your own car.
You abandon your car. You just get out and keep going. Yeah.
You just keep going. Some people have been walking for 20 hours. Some people have been walking for days in the middle of winter. And they get to the border point, they get their stamp, they enter Poland. Polish people, individuals, have set up spaces where people can get some food, get some warmth, get some medicine. Right. The Polish army is obviously there receiving people. Then they get on trains and buses to go into different cities. Loads and loads of individuals, private people just like you and I, go in their own cars and pick up people. We have a whole group of friends that goes just to pick up kids. You have to register with the government. You get a license to be able to pick up people. They register with your documents because human trafficking, sex trafficking is another thing that's risky in all of this, right? Who knows? Someone comes in a van, takes only pretty girls. What do they do with them? So you have to register, you have to get a license to be able to do that, pick up people. They have to register who you've taken, where you're going. When you get there, you register again. I've brought these people from this point and this point. Here's all my documents. And then that's the next stop point for them to get food again, rest a bit. And then we try to find housing. Every single person I've come in touch with here has taken in refugees. My cousin has a house filled with 14 refugees right now, and she's in her room, and everything else in her house, her living room, everything she shares with Ukrainian refugees. Every single space that's big enough to house people is housing people right now. We can't buy enough food. We can't buy enough sanitary products. We can't buy enough of anything at this point. I'm buying everything in bulk from donations we get from all over the world, and we bring things in pallets because it's just, we bought 3 tons of potatoes yesterday.
Unbelievable. So I understand the urge to help, but I don't know that I could take in, I have the space. I could take in a dozen refugees if they came across our border here in Southern California, from Mexico or someplace, a giant war upheaval or whatever, something, I don't know. But how would I pay for them? How would I, and how would they pay for, eventually for a day or two, a week, maybe a month? But this isn't going to go away in a day or two or a week or a month. These people may be here for years or months. Nobody has any idea how this is going to end out and when they can go home. If they can go home, they may never go home. I mean, that's the open-ended nature of this. So I guess nobody thinks about that right now. You just got to respond and help. But help for how long and how? How do ordinary citizens continue to feed and house and shelter war refugees and children? And what do those people do? Do they just sit there every day and wait and hope they can go home? Or at some point, do they start to make a life where they're at, get a job? Or
This
whatever?
is this is a massive question that you're bringing up, and on top of it, gas prices are going up.
Right.
Yeah, there is a massive issue with that. But we are definitely in bigger groups or smaller, as an online community, which in this instance, social media has been a godsend for us, because we work in big networks here, and we ask each other, how can we help long term, right? We're getting all this immediate help now. How can we get help long term? Do we set up databases with everybody's CVs, and people can, go through their browse and announce, hey, we've got jobs in let's say, in AR. If you're a creative digital creator, come and sign up for a job here. Or what can we do longer term? And I know that a lot of Ukrainian people want to go home. They want to go back, and they want to rebuild their country. Why would they? They want to go back. But when will this end? Will they be able to go back? We don't know. But they are definitely not complacent. These are not complacent people. They come here. I've had 2 people come to our storage space to help pack things for other Ukrainian people one day after they arrived. It's a mom and a son, 15-year-old son, and her, Miss Irina, who is 50 something. They traveled for 6 days straight. They arrived at our storage space one day after they were helped, and they said, what can we do? And they were there sorting things with us, putting things into boxes, packaging it up. And they said, where can we deliver this? We want to help. We want to get a job. And even the 15-year-old boy said to me, I want to get a job. And me and his mom had to say, you have to study. You have to study. Your life is not over. Your life is not over. I understand what you went through. It's hard to think about studying, but the future is still there, right?
Yes, exactly.
But these people are not complacent. Everyone wants to work, and the Vietnamese community in Poland has also been trying to help a lot, and they make jobs available, right? And they say, look, we've got businesses here and there. You can come and help us out, and we will pay you money. And so does the Polish community. The Facebook groups that have come up wanting to help are enormous. So people are trying, but we need help from the government. We need help from the EU. I know they're working on certain schemes now so that people that are taking in Ukrainian refugees are going to get some support, but the bills are coming up. So we're stuck waiting. And I have a massive problem where PayPal is blocking my funds right now. What? I can't get them out. So
why?
There's a lot of logistical issues that no one is helping us solve right now.
Because nobody was ready for this. It's not like they had it all in place. Okay, come on over. Exactly. We're ready. Here's the program. Here's how we pay for it. Here's how we dispense to people. Here's how we track them so bad things don't happen to them. All these horrible things you're bringing up. You brought up one that just never occurred to me. There are people in the middle of every tragedy, an earthquake, a war zone, who suddenly see an opportunity. I can do something bad here and make money. I could grab little girls and sex traffic them. Come on into my van here. Oh my God, those people should just burn in the 4th circle of hell or something here. To even have that in your brain, to somehow think I'm going to steal money, steal children, steal something, and take advantage of people suffering at that moment is inconceivable to me, but I'll bet it happens because humans being what they are here. All right, so this is ongoing. We're 14 days roughly into this. The assumption was, when it started, the Ukrainians are so outmatched, so outgunned, so outnumbered, that despite whatever heroism they throw up, despite whatever arms we suddenly rush into their arms, they just can't last. The Russians are going to, through sheer might and force, their assumption was, take over this country. It hasn't happened. The Ukrainians have risen up. The Russians have stumbled badly by every account. And all of a sudden, this thing has everything, we'll know in the next couple of weeks, the Russians seem to be ready to double down and to literally flatten these cities, from what I'm reading. If that's what it takes to take over, everything's moving very quickly on the ground right now here. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What can you tell us is happening there? Is the resistance stiffening? Is the invasion slowing? or is this just a lull before they really just bomb the hell out of this place and flatten it?
I can't tell. I don't know. I just know that loads of women that made it across the border to Poland have gone back to fight.
Have gone back
And
to
the
fight.
last
Wow.
and last time I checked was 3 days ago, and that number was at 28,000. 28,000 women, Ukrainian women that have made it out, have gone back to fight. You know,
In many
They're
cases,
not-
leaving
they
their
were not
children
trained.
or their family or somebody behind. I got my kids out. Now I'm going back. I read men doing that.
Yeah.
Women doing it. Why not?
Yeah.
I wonder what we'll know in the next couple of weeks. Is this a protracted fight? Is this a long haul thing? And if the Russians do take over, the assumption is the Ukrainians aren't just going to roll over and say, okay, we lost. That there's going to be, it's going to be Afghanistan, it's going to be
Yeah.
Vietnam, it's going to be an ongoing bloody insurrection for years and years, and they'll blow up every building they can, every Russian they see, every
Yeah.
gas line they can find to drag this out. So all of which means for the refugees, this could well drag on for months, years. This could be
Yeah.
an exodus with no end or no immediate end to it. Are people prepared for the long haul? No, not yet. Who knows? Everybody, do they have hope that this will resolve itself soon? Is there what's the sentiment on the ground?
I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen, including Poles that are worried that this might escalate.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen, yesterday we went to another center that took in 200 people. There were people that just arrived that night. There was a woman that I grabbed her on the way, and I said, hey, what do you need? How can I help you? You to me, just tell me what you as a person need right now. Tell
You to me, one-on-one, right now. What can I do for help
just
you?
tell me.
Yeah.
What exactly can I give you right now? And she said, I don't know. I don't have a home. My home it's not here. I don't know. People, I think it's a massive crisis of existence, because who are you when someone's trying to erase your entire identity? When you have to pick up and go, you no longer have your community, you no longer have a physical attachment to where you're from. How do you even focus on the small thing of what do I need now when your whole existence is crumbling? It's really hard.
I'm going to throw this out. We've got an audience listening. I see some of our regulars here. Steve Wilburn says, my prayers are with you and those you are helping. That's a sentiment I share. I think everybody shares. Our prayers are with you, if nothing else. We don't know what to do. What can we do other than sit in horror and watch this? Send money, send arms, economic pressure. We seem to be responding in all these extraordinary ways that I don't think Putin and his pals thought were going to happen. He thought that we'd all just kind of go, okay, what a sad thing, but let's move on. I got other things in life to worry about here other than some country I have very little connection to or knowledge about. I feel sad for them. I think that's what they thought would happen. They grabbed Crimea. They grabbed a little part of eastern Ukraine before they grabbed part of Georgia years ago under George Bush's administration, when they were similarly saying, we're going to join NATO. We're going to come over and be part of the West. And he said, no, you're not. And they invaded and took over a little part. Everybody kind of thought it was going to follow that same pattern that we've seen a couple of times. And everybody wrings their hands and a few sanctions go up. And we basically move on. Okay, sorry for those poor people. Instead, they decided to go all out and take over the whole country. I still don't understand why. Because it doesn't seem easy. It doesn't seem welcome. It doesn't seem to have any benefit to them whatsoever, other than they keep Ukraine from switching sides in their ideas from Russia to NATO. What are you hearing from the Ukrainians? Were they shocked? Even Ukrainians, from reports I thought this isn't really going to happen. This is just bluster. There's a buildup. Nobody would be that foolish to try and take over this whole country. We don't want you here. This isn't going to happen. And yet it has, or it's trying to. What's their reaction to this? Shock, amazement, or no, we knew this was coming. Yeah, we knew.
I mean, I definitely don't think anyone was expecting this. It's a big shock, but we did have an influx of Ukrainians coming in the last years anyway. There was a lot of migration happening. I think there was instability, and people were coming to Poland for jobs, right? A lot of the Uber drivers in Poland are Ukrainians.
Okay.
A lot of waiters in Poland are Ukrainians, and they were here before this escalation happened. But I don't think anyone really expected this specific thing that is happening now to happen.
Well, and let me just say, if I again, everybody keeps saying, "How can I help? How can I help?" And we'll get to that in a moment here. This is my take on it, a little bit of what I've read. I was a big foreign policy geek and studied foreign policy in college, and I've more than most Americans probably have paid a little attention to this. This has been percolating for a while. Since the Soviet Union fell apart, Putin has said from the beginning, that's the greatest crime in the 20th century, and I'm going to do everything I can to pull that back. And, and slowly but surely he's been trying to either exert influence over these areas or outright control over these areas to rebuild the Russian Empire here for whatever reason, pride or just whatever. So that's been going on for a while. And right after Soviet Union fell apart, all these little republics broke away. Ukraine, Belarus, Kyrgyzstan, all these kinds of places, Kazakhstan, all broke away. Many of them installed puppets that were friendly to the Russians. Belarus to the north, Kazakhstan around the corner, and the Ukrainians did the same thing for a while. This Lukashenko or whatever his name is, and then in this miraculous uprising in 2014. The Ukrainians rose up in mass in protest and drove them out of the country. And since that moment, the Russians haven't been too happy about this. Because if this works there, why won't it work to the north in Belarus and Kazakhstan and all these other places where they've installed puppets if they don't outright control the country, they more or less control the country still. And that's been the fear. On top of the desire to rebuild this, the shame of having lost it all, to restore Russian greatness, all this kind of stuff. There's been this fear that Ukraine would be the role model that would spark similar revolts in all these other little breakaway republics, as well as all the areas, Poland, Hungary, Romania, that quickly ran to the West and said, let's join NATO. Because if you join NATO, there's now a clause that says attack on one is an attack on all. And the Russians can't attack because then they'd be attacking all of Europe and America and everybody here. The Ukrainians have tried to join NATO, and that seemed to be the other thing. They even wrote it into their constitution, I believe, saying, we're going to join NATO. Under George Bush, he pushed they want to join NATO and Georgia. And that's been a thorn. So you've sort of got this desire to rebuild, this desire on their part to flee and to find refuge in the West, and to embrace democracy and not these dictatorships that the Russians are installing all over the place. And then on top of it, they're openly saying, we're going to join NATO. And finally, Russia said enough, particularly with the Ukrainians, because they see the Ukrainians in their eyes as a fake nation. They're just Russians under another name. We all come from the same Rus, the same area. We're all descended from the same people. But that'd be sort of like us going to the north to Canadians and saying, hey, we're all part of the British Empire or the French Empire. Or the Mexicans in the Southwestern say, we're all part of the Spanish Empire. Come on, you're not a separate country. We're all one thing here. That happened a long time ago. Those people diverged in different areas. So all these areas have been building. But I don't think most Americans, and I don't know that most Ukrainians really thought it would come to this. I guess that's the whole point of the little history lesson here. Are people as shocked as we are here?
Yes. The short answer is yes. And I don't think nothing... I don't think anything in life ever prepares you for the shock that the Ukrainians have just gone through, right? In 2022, I don't think anyone thought their house is going to get bombed.
Right.
I don't think anyone thought their children are going to die. I don't think anyone thought their parents will have to be left behind to die.
Right.
I don't think anyone was ever ready for that, right?
So everybody's saying the same thing. Paul, shut up and let Ola talk here. And that's a good point, because I'm on my little soapbox here trying to explain, maybe to myself more than anything else, what's going on and why. So what are you seeing in the ground? Well, let's describe it. You've already given some very vivid descriptions of what you've seen. Refugees continue to come. People are still trying to figure out how to house them and where to go. What are you seeing right now?
You go to the central station of Warsaw, and it is absolute mayhem. It is trains after trains bus after bus filled with people, women, children, older people, with nothing but what they have on their backs, right? People are hungry, people are starving, they're cold, children are confused, adults are confused. No one knows what's happening. We're changing the wheels of the car while we're driving. All of us, including the governments, because no one knows how to deal with such an influx of people. And to us individuals, it is just first-hand experience of human suffering. And unless you're a cold-hearted person that feels nothing, you go there and you just want to embrace people, and you just want to say, come into my house, come have food, bring your kids, bring your grandmas, bring whoever you want, right? You just,
and we'll figure it out later.
But how?
Just let me
We'll figure it out
right
later.
now. Yeah.
And that's what everyone has been doing, and that's what we continue to do, right? But we need to think big scale, and we need to think longer term, and that's what we're trying to do. And we're trying to say, okay, here's everything we need to do immediately. Let's help everyone immediately, while at night I get home every night at around 11 p.m. and that's when I sit down and I start doing all the admin for the money that's been donated, admin for the things that were donated and how we store them, trying to figure out logistics for the next day, how to move trucks of things to people, where it's going to a specific place that's housing 5,000 people. Is it going across the border deep into Ukraine? Is it going to the Ukrainian army? What is moving when? How? Who can I contact? And on top of it, we then have meetings with thinkers, right? We're like, how do we solve this problem? Let's not even try to solve it for everyone. Even let's just talk about the group of young Ukrainians that are here that need jobs to support their parents, need jobs to support their kids. How do we solve this for them? Do we all open companies that provide cleaning services? Do we teach women how to do electrical works so they can all become electricians? Do we set up agencies, creative agencies, and connect them with remote jobs in the US, in the UK? Anyone that has any ideas, please write to me. We are open for ideas. We are thinking big time now, because everything that's coming into us right now needs to go to this immediate help, because these people need this help now.
So let me ask you.
We need to think about long-term solutions.
So let me ask you personally. You felt compelled to come home. This is your adopted home, Poland. People are, and maybe the Vietnamese community more than most in Poland understands what it's like to be a refugee and to be in another country. So you've opened your heart, you've done it. What did your job say? What did your boss say? They say go? Or if you go, don't come back, or whatever. Hey, I'm sorry you want to help, but hey, we need that work done by Tuesday here. You know, I mean, how does the world just stop what they're doing? And
I think for a lot of people with the pandemic, a lot of things shifted. There was a big shift, at least for my generation. There was a shift in us, and a big question. What am I doing? Yes. Why am I doing this? Why am I spinning on this wheel? And what is the reason? And then this happened. I don't think there was even a moment when I was thinking, oh my God, if I go and help people, what am I going to do? I don't care. It doesn't matter. Wow. I've been working for a long time and I will find work again. I just know I need to help. But when I came here, I talked to my work, and 32 people in our company live in Moldova. We're now also working on ways to get them out of Moldova, because we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. There's a massive economic crisis happening as we know it. And our people need to go as well. You know, we don't know if this will escalate or not, but we need to evacuate them while it's still safe. Right. And if they can go back, they'll go back. But work has been extremely, extremely generous. And they said, if this is a way we can support the refugees by giving you a job and keeping that job for you, then that's what we'll do, and we'll keep paying your paycheck. So I'm extremely grateful to my boss. I'm extremely grateful to my company. But even if they didn't do that, I don't care. I'm so much more lucky than everybody else that's going through what they're going now. I can go and wash dishes tomorrow if I need money. I really did not care. Tomorrow is a problem of tomorrow. Today, there are children and people in need of immediate help. And as long as I can provide that help, that is what I will do.
You make me feel ashamed, because I gave $1 at church the other day and thought, a little tear in my eye, okay, this is for the Ukrainians. And I thought, but I didn't drop my job. I didn't fly without any clear plan. I didn't just appear and say, here, put me to use. I will do whatever, anywhere, and I'll make it work somehow. That's extraordinary, what you just said. And I think it's a testament to you and to people like you, to what you're doing here. And thank God, as somebody else here, just thank God there are people responding. How has been the reaction? The general feeling here is that everybody's surprised how much in this country, Republicans, Democrats can't agree on what time of day it is or what to call today. We disagree on everything. And yet there's been a joint resolution in Congress, joint support in Congress. Even the president's speech got applauded a couple times when he talked about Ukraine. I mean, there has been an outpouring of solidarity within the European Union, within here, the divided United States, with this world that has too many other things to worry about. I'm sorry about those Ukrainians, but I got other problems here. All of a sudden, everybody for the moment seems to have put their problems aside and embraced. Is that too rosy, or is that what you're seeing come together here?
I mean, I definitely am seeing that here. In Poland, I definitely think that feeling's there. In Europe, all of my friends from Germany, Switzerland, I had 3 people volunteer from Switzerland that have just left yesterday. They bought 2 washing machines for another orphanage. They came in a truck filled with things. Some of my friends' parents are coming from the UK on Sunday, bringing donations. There's trucks upon trucks from the UK coming in, contacting us. Where can they take things? How can we separate those things? How can we get them to where they are needed? Everyone is so united behind this. But I have to say, the force comes because the refugees are white. And I'm saying this as a person that's grown up in a Western culture, as a person that, my friends call me a banana, right? I'm yellow on the outside, I'm white on the inside, because I spend my entire life living, a Western culture. And it is true. We have to admit it is true that refugee camps are a made up thing. When it's needed, refugees go and stay in people's homes. You can still register people and know what they need and know where they are, how to take care of them legally, without creating camps where people have to be imprisoned. And that is true. Right. We did not do the same thing for the Syrians. We did not do the same things for the people from Afghanistan. So,
or Rwanda, or a million other places.
But I have to say, and I didn't come here when there was a problem with the Syrian refugees. This is a wake-up call for me too, because for some reason the Ukrainians are coming here, and I'm like, oh my God, these are my neighbors.
I gotta go.
What the hell?
Right.
I gotta go. So it's a wake-up call for me right now. But I also can't process that in the moment when I'm like, people need food, people need medicine. Right now, I can only think about, what's the next step? I need to go from A to B because somebody is calling for help. But after, I pray to God that this is done soon. Right. I'll be sitting down with my therapist and saying, shit, why didn't I react better when other stuff was happening?
Syria was bombed to the ground, and we all wrung our hands, but I don't know that there's the same outpouring of let's accept them into our homes and let's immediately rush to the front lines and help them. And in fact, in many ways, Europeans, much to the dismay of others, sort of put up barriers in Hungary and other places and said, don't come here. I'm sorry it's happening over there, but don't come here. Not welcome here. But Ukrainians ethnically, culturally, physically fit the European model much closer here. The Ukrainians and Poles have been one country at different times in the past, in 1,000 years or something. Ukrainians have been part of the Polish Empire, the Russian Empire, their own empire. Everybody's, not their own empire, but their own state. So yeah, that's a very pointed question that you bring up to all of us. Why have we suddenly responded in such a way when other similar crises have not led us to join and jump and support those in the same way? Could part of it be, and maybe again, I'll explore this psychologically a little further. I wonder if the Poles don't fear they're next.
100%. I had a chat yesterday with my parents, who, as I told you earlier, have been here since the late 60s. And I asked them, I said, guys, what happens when this escalates and Poland is next? And what are your fears? What are we doing to be ready as a family? I've gotten my visa to Vietnam extended 3 days ago.
Okay.
All of
your
my
get out of
relatives
jail
have
free
done
card
this.
if you need to, your escape card, right? Yeah.
For sure. But, they said, we don't know, because all of our money is in our properties, right? It's in our house. It's in our restaurants. What do? We don't know. And I mean, this
Same
is
thing the
another
Ukrainians were
question.
asking 2 weeks ago. Yeah. What do we do?
The
Yeah.
same thing. What do we do? And it takes a different approach as well, bigger picture in terms of financial education and understanding, like having a financial competency that a lot of people still don't have, and my parents, as successful business people, still don't understand how to make their money independent, right? Like crypto, they don't understand cryptocurrency. They don't understand how to invest outside of their country. And they said, what's going to happen when the Polish zloty falls? Inflation in Poland was 9 point something percent today. It's going to go over double digits very quickly. So they said, if we have to run, we have nothing. We will have nothing. And I said, guys, how can that be? You've worked your whole lives. Why aren't you prepared for this?
Because it was the unimaginable. We thought this was.
It is unimaginable.
We thought this was, as somebody said, I thought this was kind of cold, but very true. In some article I read, this is so 20th century. That's like, this is so 1800s or 1900s, where countries invade each other and run over each other. That's what the world saw for thousands of years. But somehow we've moved past that. We're interdependent with each other. We may put pressure on each other. We may economically sanction each other. This notion that we're going to revive World War II and start rolling tanks over borders seems inconceivable in the 21st century. And yet here it is. I think that's part of the shock here too. This isn't a civil war that, maybe, and I'll say this in some defense, Syria was a civil war where the country fell apart and forces fought. Other places around us, a civil war where they started killing each other. We somehow wring our hands, but we don't understand when one big country invades another. We haven't seen that in a long time. Afghanistan, certainly. A couple of times the Russians did it and the Americans did it. Or the Iran, or Iraq rather, when we did it. But this doesn't happen very often anymore. And I think that's part of what's shocking everybody. We didn't think we thought that was a vestige from a bygone era. The armies rolling over the border and trying to conquer people. But here it is. So everybody wants to know the big question. I'm sitting here in nice, sunny Orange County, safe, far away, no bombs falling in my neighborhood. Likelihood, unless it turns into a nuclear conflict, the likelihood that I'm going to feel any suffering is slim. I feel bad. I want to do something. Do I just send money? Do I come and volunteer and join the Ukrainian? They have some international brigade they're forming, and I don't know, like 20,000 people or some number of literally just dropped what they're doing, and some guy in here Orange County just flew on a plane and he's going to go fight the front war. You're saying Ukrainian women dropping their kids off in Poland and heading back to the conflict. Is this the Spanish Civil War where everybody suddenly floods to help one side or the other here? Back in the 30s, go look it up. That's what happened right before World War II. And there were international brigades on both sides. I don't see that in too much in other conflicts, but that's happening here again. Is that, where do you see? So how can I help? How can me today, and all these people listening in shock, Alain Blanchette and Steve Wilburn and all these others here, what can we do other than pray and send some money somewhere?
I think there's two things, right? So there's, yes, your money and donations are 100% helpful, especially to groups that are immediately using those funds to do things. I know a lot of people have long lists of things they donate to, like, they donate to the Red Cross, they donate to big organizations. And I say this every time, big groups use 40 to 60% of those funds on admin fees. So find small groups on the ground that really can help. Every penny that I get, I account for it. It's registered. It's public knowledge. I put my bank statements up every night. Literally, that's what I do every single night. and receipts are up there, right? And we take videos of everything, because it's not even about showing you that we do good. It's a responsibility that we have towards people that donate, and it's a responsibility that we have towards people that need that help.
And
that's
there are
why
always
we need
cases
that
in crises in Haiti or whatever, where there are bogus organizations set up, or that don't spread the money out the way we thought. I mean, bad stuff happens when a ton of money starts flowing here. So
100%.
So did you create like a charitable organization in this country, be a 501c3, a registered charity that people can know how to, with a bank account and other sorts of, or are they just sending it to you?
I used to work for 7 years at Dartmouth College. I used to bring doctors from the US to Vietnam to operate on kids for free.
Okay.
But I never had to do the legal side. So when I jumped into this, I was just saying to my people, my friends, family on Instagram, I said, hey guys, I'm going to go. Don't know yet, but in moments of crisis, money is always useful, right? So if anyone wants to donate, you trust me, just send the money over. So I had no idea how to do any of this.
Right.
And I had to call my accountant and say, hey, you know, I'm going to be doing this. Am I going to get taxed on people sending money to me to help?
Exactly. Suddenly
My
bank account swelled,
anything.
and I got to show that it wasn't
100%.
For me. Right.
100%. So yeah, he said, keep receipts for everything, keep everything clear. I had to set up a separate bank account that's just used for this. I set up a PayPal. So yeah, I'm not an organization. To everyone that's listening, I'm just one person. I'm just one person that's surrounded by amazingly supportive people around me. And together we just crack on every day. And I don't know what tomorrow looks like. I don't know. I just don't know. But every day the needs change. Today, people need medicine. Tomorrow, they'll need another ton of potatoes. And a ton of potatoes, while you're listening to this, is $150. That's how much you can feed people here. For $150, we buy 1 ton of potatoes. So, and it sounds like a big number,
right?
You know, 1 ton of potatoes sounds like a lot, but we bought it last Wednesday, and by Sunday they called us that they needed more. So by now we've bought 3 tons of potatoes already. And a lot of the time people call me and they say they need something. If the funds run out, I just use my own money. What the hell? What am I going to think about buying new sneakers? Why do I need new sneakers when I can help somebody who's in need? You know, so
no, I don't know, because as much as I say that, I don't know that I'd give up new sneakers. I really feel bad for these people, but I really wanted those new sneakers or something here for a long time.
I'm just a kid. I'm just a kid trying to help. So really, I don't know what to tell you. If you can find organizations that can help, if you want to help us, I'm happy to send Paul a link. You probably have communication somewhere where you can send people.
Well, you can shout it out right here. So tell us how, if somebody wants to send you right now $150 to buy a ton of potatoes.
Ton of potatoes. Wonderful. So it's paypal.me. So it's paypal.me/Ola, OLAPOLALA, Ola Polala. So that's my PayPal link. You guys can send stuff.
You can literally just go to PayPal right now on your phone, open that up, give it to us one more time, because most of us aren't used to paying anything on PayPal. Dr. Trinh is, but most of us are not. We don't use it to pay all our bills. So again, I'm going to go to, give me the whole thing again.
Yeah, so it's paypal.me. So paypal.me/OLAPOLALA. So Ola Polala.
All right. So while you're doing this, I'm going to type it in the chat here so everybody keeps asking me. It's a good point.
Yeah. So and that all that gets noted, and you can follow me on Instagram, where I give daily updates from the ground all the time. There's videos, photos of everything we do, people we see, and the handle for Instagram is exactly the same as on PayPal. So it's OLAPOLALA, Ola Polala. So
Robert beat me to it. It's in the chat, and it popped
amazing.
Up. Look at that. Pei Huang. I'm sorry, Huang. I'm going to mispronounce your name.
Hong Ang Ding.
Okay.
Good job.
Easier for you to say. I did it real quickly though.
That's one thing, but that's only one way you can help. Another way to help is counter the misinformation that Russia is spreading right now.
That's what I was going to get to.
Because there's Russian trolls, Russian propaganda is spreading on the internet. And my friend just sent me this today from what they've recorded from Russian media. There's on Russian news right now, they're saying the Western media is blowing up this whole special military operation.
Not
is
a
what they're
war,
using,
not a
because
war, just a special
they're not
military
allowed.
operation. Yeah, right.
The word war has been banned by the Russian
Absolutely.
government now.
Absolutely.
So you are not allowed to say that. This is a special military operation that's happening.
Right.
And when you watch the Russian news, what they show is the bombings that are happening in Ukraine. And they're saying, look how the Western media is showing that this is happening when it's all a lie. We have a live feed for you here from all these Ukrainian cities. Look how sunny it is.
Happy
look how
it
smiling
is. They're cheering. They're saying,
Everyone's
welcome.
happy.
Oh, thank God you're here.
Cars are going around. And it is insane. It is insane. I can't even begin to fathom why this is happening. But coming from someone who works in augmented reality, it is really not that hard to augment reality.
It really isn't. So that was the point I was going to leave with here. I hope you and everybody else keeps flooding social media with what you're really seeing. Capture those stories. Hold your phone up and show me that girl with the 4 socks. Tell the story direct. Don't tell me about it. Have them tell it to me directly, because that's the revolution that's in place now that didn't exist in World War II, in the Spanish Civil War, whatever. The first thing the first thing you lose in war is truth. Information suddenly gets controlled and manipulated on both sides. Now we have the ability to talk directly to people, as you're talking through this medium to people here in Orange County and elsewhere. You have the opportunity, they have the opportunity, and I know they're doing it, but please continue. Tell it to me straight. Show it to me through your eyes. And don't just show me what you see. Have the people tell the real stories, because that will, more than anything, will keep the pressure on and will keep the focus on this before we, in our ADD world, we move on to the next thing. Oh, that was really bad. But look over here. Here's something else shiny happening over here. You all have a responsibility in a way, not just to help and to feed and to clothe, but to keep the truth coming through, because it's going to get very confusing. It's not just trolls. It's everybody's going to start manipulating this for their own purposes here, and we will lose focus and we'll forget, and we won't understand how really bad it is. We'll just write it off. Oh, that's too bad. 1 million people died. Next. So yes, I hope you will. I think not just through your Instagram, any way, shape, or form you can. I would love it if you could come back and get some others to tell their story, not just what you've seen. Bring us some Ukrainians, if any that speak English, because we don't speak Ukrainian, that could tell their story in their own words. I think that would be powerful.
I can definitely get some people to come and tell you, and I can also get you some Belarusians to come and tell you.
I'd love it,
about
I didn't
how
even.
their families.
Most people don't even know where Belarus is or who they are. All these areas Americans are scrambling to pull out their maps. We're so illiterate about the world. Like, what the heck? Where is this? And what's going Moldovans? I never even heard of Moldovans before, most of my friends say. What the heck is Moldova? I never even heard of this country. These are not front and foremost in our mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just about the Ukrainians, right? I mean, it is Ukrainians, but then there's the Belarusians, Russians that are forced to fight against their will for something they do not believe in.
Don't even understand any more than we do. Why are we here? What are we doing? What's this all about? A lot of conscripts, according to the haze, the fog is coming through. Many of them weren't even told where they were going or what they were going to do. And all of a sudden they're in the middle of a war and they're like, I don't want to be here. What's this all about? They were, like every conscripts, they're wondering what the heck are they doing? So if you could bring us some your firsthand account is powerful. Your story is amazing. God bless you. I hope everybody sends you $150. I got to send you something here today. Everybody pick up that PayPal and do something other than just wring your hands and say how horrible. And beyond that, though, I hope you will help us understand and connect with it by telling the real people stories, not just the overall statistics, which are mind-numbing. I can't even wrap my head around it. Tell it in people stories. I will remember it, I'll relate to it, and I'll retell it over and over again. That's the power of storytelling. So can you help us with that?
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be a long list for you. Just a quick note about PayPal. Please make sure you don't choose a commercial transaction that blocks the money for us. And we really need those funds right now. Make sure you choose friends and family sending money, because this is not about any commercial transactions.
Okay.
This is about people. So please just keep that in mind, because some people are confused. So I'm just getting ahead of that. Please make sure, if you can, to choose a non-commercial transaction, because this is money that's going for food, toilet paper. We're getting people hygiene products. We're getting people medicine. We're getting orphans diapers, formula, you name it. And if we still have time, I can walk you to one of our storage spaces.
Yeah, we'll extend this for a couple more minutes. I got a little extra time. I don't want to cut this off. I don't get a chance to talk to anybody in the ground. I'm in the fog of war. I'm wondering what the heck goes on every day.
I'll take you with me. I just have to make sure I lock the car, because we have a loaner. Everyone is doing what they can. So our cousins have loaned us a car so we can do this every day.
Okay.
So I don't want to lose their car.
No.
Let me walk you.
And you're in where? You're in Warsaw or Krakow or what?
I'm in Warsaw, right now. This is a storage space that's been loaned to us by a Vietnamese, Polish person as well. Loads of Vietnamese, Poles here. They've loaned this to us. It's literally just a storage space in the middle of this market, outdoor market, and we come here every day. This is a smaller storage that's closer to the city center. So a lot of refugees that have already come here come to us to pick up, or they ring us and they say, or Polish families ring us and say, hey, we took in 8 Ukrainian families. Can you provide us with things that we can give them, from clothing to medicine to food and diapers and things like that. So I'm going to walk you through here. I can turn the camera around just so you can see where I'm going.
And what time of day is it in Poland right now? It
is right now 6 p.m.
Okay.
So as you can see, normally this is like an open door market. All these people around here, lots of Vietnamese people, have donated things, and they are not rich people. They don't make a lot of people. This man is a hero. He helps us bring boxes in every day. Phỏng vấn bên Mỹ Anh, rất cảm ơn anh. He's a hero. He sees us. We're a bunch of girls doing this every day. Girls are packing stuff up right now. This is my fiance who's come from London in England to help us. We're packing up toys right now for kids. Everybody is doing something. We've got loads of clothes that we have to sort through. This is going to an orphanage. This is all the baby formula and diapers that we've bought, and that's going to an orphanage that has 120 newborns that have just come in. Pillows, blankets that we've bought, baby food in jars. So yeah, we do this every day. This is a truck full that's arrived. It usually goes out in the next 1 or 2 days because it empties out so quickly, and then we collect stuff and buy stuff again.
And what did it cost to buy? Give me a quick idea. That whole storage area that somebody donated, that you just went out and bought stuff with your own funds, with friends' funds, with some donated money. Give me is that $10,000, $20,000? What did you buy?
This area, just the diapers and milk, that cost us about $900. This area for the baby stuff. So we spent that. We bought blankets from IKEA the other day. They had a discount for every 100 zloty, which is $20. They would give us $5 off. We posted on social media. We said, guys, send us your codes for this IKEA promotion. We got 35 codes from people, and we bought 357 blankets for $450. So we bought all of those, and
we should be able to send you $450 through all the wealthy people, the influential people, the committed people who are listening to this show right now. $450, guys. Let's send them $450 and let's restock this for tomorrow.
Restock the baby stuff, guys. This is one of the biggest needs, is babies that are newborns, babies that are the last leaving, right? They're always the slowest. Babies are still coming because mothers that are either pregnant or they've just given birth, they can't move as fast as other people. So a lot of moms and babies are still coming. The Vietnamese community is donating loads of things to us like this in bulk, right? Stuff they sell on a normal basis. Gloves for kids, We've got loads of shoes in bulk here because, as I said, lots of people need shoes. They leave and they don't have shoes. So yeah, this is what we do on a daily basis. We just sort, buy, pack, load, and deliver. We've got, rice and things, and this is our small storage space, and we've got a big storage space where everything comes in bulk, and we package that up, whether it goes to the army, whether it goes to the big spaces housing people. So.
And how do you know where to send this stuff? All right, so you buy it, you collect it. Now you got to figure out how to dispense it. Is there a central authority? Are there just an informal network of people? Hey, I need something. Can you help me?
It's an informal network of people, but everyone's in touch. And obviously we have people traveling, our friends traveling to the border constantly to pick up people. And they say, hey, this is what they need. Here's the coordinator at the border. Ring them, get a list. Let's get it out to them. So we just go. And whenever I have a spare minute and I hear about an influx of people, let's say at point A, I drive to point A and I say, what do you guys need? How can we help? What do you need? People, things, how can we help? Not yesterday, 3 days ago, we needed 300 sandwiches. I put a message up to the Vietnamese community. They gave us 4,500.
Wow.
So Vietnamese people, they just came together. They said, let's buy a shit ton of bread. Everybody makes sandwiches. Let's package them. We went and picked them up and dropped them off at 4 points. People were fed for at least a few hours. People were fed, right? And that's what we do. We just...
I'm reminded of a story I was told many years ago, and we'll leave with this, of a young boy walking down a beach, and all these starfish have been washed up onto the shore. Starfish. And of course, now they're in the sun and they're dying. And he starts picking them up one at a time and trying to throw thousands of them. And somebody walks up to him and says, what are you doing, kid? These starfish aren't going to make it. He says, this one will. And he throws it back into the ocean. You do what you can. And you're doing more than you can and more than most. I give you my hats off. And more than that, I'm going to PayPal right now. Think of this, guys. We all just gave $50. If 10 of us gave $50, we could fill up that whole section there. That's nothing. $50. Come on. I'm going to go give $50 right now. You got me motivated. I don't give to a lot of things here. I'm going to PayPal. You'll see my number come through here. I wish I could give you 5,000 or 5 million. I don't know how to do anything more than what we can do. But if 10 of us gave $50, we could fill up that little section right there. That seems like doable from today's conversation here. I hope it's 10 times that. I hope you will come back, because this is the story that's not going away. This is this crisis that will continue long after the guns stop shooting, and a population of people that will need help potentially for years to come. Psychological help, physical help, emotional help, economic help, kids that are suddenly orphaned with no parents. This is a crisis that is not just for tomorrow and then will fade the day after. I hope you can hang in there. I hope you and others will flock to this cause and keep the flow going, because there's a massive, massive problem going on there. And I don't think we fully appreciate it. Thank you today for giving us one little insight into one little storage area and the efforts of one little group of people here trying to do what they can. Thank you so much. Give us again, we got the PayPal on here so we don't see that. Give me some final thought. What should we take? You got a mic and 5 minutes. Talk to us. Tell us what we need to know, what we need to hear.
Don't stay quiet. Don't stay quiet. Make as much noise as you can about this, because this needs unity from every side. Okay. I know that you guys are far away, but you can do more than you think. That $50, that goes a really long way. That goes a really long way, right? That's $50 will equal at least 30 blankets. That's 30 people staying warm for one night at least. Oh my God. And fight propaganda, fight misinformation. If you see something, go change it. Say the truth. Share images, and I will share as much as I can. Please follow on Instagram for all those things.
And where are you at on Instagram? How do we follow you on Instagram?
Same tag as my PayPal, so at Ola Polala. Sorry, I'm on 1% of battery right now, so if I cut out, it's at Ola Polala, OLAPOLALA. You can see updates every day. We update that every day. It's my private Instagram, but I update everything that's going on here. There's highlights with everything that's been going on since day one.
So I'm going to suggest 3 things as we wrap this up today here. 1, everybody donate $50. Come on, $50. 2, let's share this with everybody, this conversation, because the power of social media is that we can spread it out and send it everywhere. And 3, follow her and then repost and share what she's doing. Together, we can create an information chain to keep feeding this. Thank you so much. I think we've lost the feed here. I'm speechless. Thank you, Dr. Trinh, for bringing this to light. Thank you for all people hanging in there. And together, we'll keep this story alive and help these people through this crisis, however long it takes. Thank you so much. That's going to wrap it up for today. Hopefully, we'll come back with more in future episodes. Check in here at OC Talk Radio. Wow, perhaps the most powerful piece we've ever put out. First-hand account from the front lines, what's really happening right now in real time as real people step out to help other real people who really need help. Right here in Orange County's only community radio station, octalkradio.net. Streaming live from the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center. Health Talks with Dr. Trinh.